Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So in this video, we will talk about how to migrate SQLite database to MySQL in Django application. So in the previous video, we have seen how to create a Django application in PythonAnyWhere, but we have not touched anything related to database. So when you start developing a Django website, then the default database that it comes with is SQLite. But when you decide to migrate your application to a production environment, then SQLite is not at all a good solution. In that situation, you will have to migrate the SQLite database to a database like Postgre and MySQL. So in this video, we will focus on the migration of SQLite database into MySQL database in a very easy manner in Python anywhere. So let's move on to my desktop and start the process. Here we are on our desktop, and first of all we'll have to go to Python Anywhere. So in the previous video, as I discussed, Python Anywhere is a dedicated hosting platform for websites which are written on Python web framework such as Django, Web2Py, Bottle, and even Flask. So I will give the link in the description. If you want to host a website, then Python Anywhere is a good solution if you are writing it in any of the Python web framework. Now, first of all, in previous video we have created a web app, and that web app is basically created over Django, and this is the website. Now, first let's verify which particular database is being used on this particular Django application. For that, go to consoles and click on bash. So this will basically create a command line interface for us, and from there we can validate the current DB which is running on this Django application. Now, in order to do that, first of all, we'll have to go to the path where all our files related to Django are located. In my case, it is under virtual environment, then venv, which is my virtual environment name, and then my Django folder name, that is demo Django. Now ls-l will show us all the files that we have. Now here we can see a db.sqlite 3 file. So in order to verify if this SQLite 3 is in effective mode, let's execute a command called python manage.py and then db shell. So this command will basically take us to the shell of the current database. So you can see SQLite, which means this Django application is using SQLite. To verify further, you can execute a command called tables, which will list all the tables that is in this SQLite database. Now let's come out of it, and the first steps that we have to do is that we'll have to export this database into a JSON file. So to do that, execute command python manage.py dump data and then give a greater than symbol, and then type any name that you want to give. For example, I will give it mydb, and the extension will be .json. Hit enter, and it will basically export all the data from this SQLite database to mydb.json file. The next step would be to create a database. So Python Anywhere basically provides you free database or free MySQL database. That is another advantage that you get from Python Anywhere. So in order to create a new database, go to a section called database. Let me open it in new tab, and here we will be able to create a database under the database section. Let me just type a database name. Let me type MySQL test DB and click on create. You can see under your database section we have a database called MySQL test DB. Now if you will go a little bit down, you will see a section called MySQL password. Just type a password there. Let me just type the password. Make sure you provide a strong password, and then click on set MySQL password. So the database creation is successful. Now let's keep this tab as it is and go back to another section called files. So let's open this in a new tab. So what basically we will do here is that we will go to that particular folder where settings.py file exists, because most of the database related actions will have to do in settings.py file. So in my case, it is in my virtual environment, then my virtual environment name, and then my folder name, that is my Django folder name, and then the project name, and the project folder, that is demo Django, and here I will be able to find a settings.py file. Let's open it in a new tab and let's do the modification. Now if you'll go a little bit down, you will find a section called database. So as you can see, the database SQLite 3 is mentioned here, and it is not hashed. It means this is the active database that Django application is supposed to use. Now what we'll have to do, we'll have to hash it out, and we'll have to remove the hash from the database, which is MySQL. So basically this section you will not get it on default settings.py file. You will have to copy and paste it. So you can type as it is present in this particular section, and then we'll have to start the modify. The first thing we have to check is that engine. So make sure engine should present as django.db my backends.mysql, and then the name of the database. So in our case, the database was a little bit different. So let's go back to database section, and what we will do, we will just copy this and paste it here. Once we do that, the next section is called user. So user is basically the username of your PythonAnyWhere account, which is this is my user name for my PythonAnyWhere account, and then the password. So this is the password that I have created while creating the database. Now the host, basically you'll have to provide this host. Now you will be able to get this host details in database settings only. So database host address. So this is the database host address. You will have to copy it and you will have to paste it in host section. Now port number is, this is the default port number for MySQL database, that is 3306. Just type this, and that's all the settings that you have to do in settings.py file. You can press Ctrl S to save this file, or at the top you can see a button called save. Just click on this, and all the modification that you have done will be saved in this particular file. Now I can see a cross symbol, which is syntax error. So basically I'll have to hash it out, because this is the part of this section that we have hashed it out. Now again, let's save this and see if this is going away. Yes, it's gone away. So is done. Now let's go back to our console, and here we'll have to execute a command python manage.py migrate. So what it will do is that it will create all the tables in MySQL database. So previously, whatever database we have created, it was on SQLite database. Now what it will do, it will refer to models.py file and start creating the tables in MySQL. So this basically takes some time. So I will pause this video for a couple of minutes, and when the process is finished, I will come back. So the migrate process is completed. Now at this point of time, if you are getting an error, then most likely is because you have not installed a library called MySQL client. So make sure you have that library before you execute python manage.py by executing command pip install MySQL client and hit enter, and see if this is installed or not. So in my case, it is already installed. That is, you can verify by this line, requirement already satisfied. That's why I haven't got any error while I executed the command python manage.py migrate. If you get any kind of error during this command, then definitely install it and then proceed it. Now the last step that we have to do is that execute another command, that is python manage.py load data, and then the JSON file that we have created in our earlier steps, that is MySQL db dot JSON. Let me just verify if it is correct or not. Actually it was mydb.json. So let me just correct it and then hit on enter. So if everything goes right, then you will be able to see this line install 35 objects or any random number you may get this, but this line basically tells us that the load data is also completed. Now the final step is to verify whether this application is now using MySQL database or not. Same thing we can do. We can verify that by executing the same command, that is python manage.py db shell. So this will take us to the shell of the database, and let's see what shell is coming. As you can see here, the shell is MySQL, and let me execute a command which will show the tables, that is show tables, and you can see we are able to see all the tables that is in our database. Now here you can see MySQL test DB. This is the database name that we have created in our database section. So this is the process using which you can migrate SQLite database to MySQL database in PythonAnyWhere. So let me know if you have any question. Put your question in the comment section, and don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell icon so that whatever new video I upload in my channel, you will get notification immediately.